back to those times, and I think back to those moments of how we became friends and the things that we were doing, all I think about is sports. All I think about is the times, you know, we were outside playing jackpot or, you know, just random things that brought us together. So, I mean, what do you think, like, we really pulled away from each other or learned about each other?
So for me, before you moved there, there's a lot of older guys in the neighborhood, right? So nobody was my age that I could play with. You know what I'm saying? So I would go play basketball. Everybody bigger, everybody stronger. I'm in elementary school. They're in middle school, freshman in high school. So I was like, there's no one for me to actually hang out with until you moved in. You know I would hang out with a few guys, you know, people my age, but they wouldn't like sports for real, wouldn't like video games, or they would stay for like a year or two. And So nobody stayed long enough for me to actually build a friendship with until you came. And I think I remember, because you got older siblings. And I remember like just playing ball at Tay's house, and I remember your brother vividly just riding with his bike. Riding around the bike, and you just
probably wasn't even his.
You know what I'm saying? And then you kind of just walking behind him, and like just me and you. This is the time when you had the fro though. You had the fro.
Man.
You had the wild fro. And I just kind of just remember me and you, and just from there, just like, you know, playing basketball, you know, throwing back football. Playing football before school started. You know what I mean? Just going to football, and just going from there. And that's what I remember, just like basketball and football as like young boys, finding like someone that's our age to finally, like, you know, build a friendship with.
When we were outside, I'm like, yo, this kid is like talented. Like, you know, I'm just a scrub. You know, I'm just moving in. Like, I just want to have friends I can play with. But I'm like, no, like, this dude's got it. As we, you know, considered our friendship, you know, you got hurt. And it was one time. It was one time in your life that I always think back to. I'm like, man, like, my God, it was football, right? You were playing football. I just remember one day you didn't get on the bus, and you know, we stopped at your block. I'm like, dang, like, where's Marcellis at? I look outside, and it's the other bus. You know, you got a little short bus, and I see, but like not like in a way to like. Not like in a way to, in all seriousness, because, you know, I don't look down on nobody for their disabilities or nothing like that. But I just remember looking outside and seeing you, you know, hand in your face in a wheelchair, just hurt, you know, like embarrassed almost. Everybody's sitting there, our bus stops, and you know, you're getting loaded up onto the short bus, and like, I'm just like, dang, like, we were already friends, but at that time I couldn't do anything but like feel some type of way to sit there and see you like that. And I remember that's where our friendship really kicked off. Like, we were already hanging out and everything, but from that moment on, you know, I remember being there for you. I remember, you know, anytime after school, I'm at your crib. We playing games. You know, you had a stick just to turn the TV on. Like, you in your bed. Like, that's how bad your injury was. And I come over, I'm like, yo, what you need? Like, you need me to change this game in? You want me to, you know, do whatever you need? And we got a lot closer from there. So thinking about how talented you were as a kid, that had to be scary. I don't know if it was necessarily in your head or your parents' head, but like somebody knew that this could be something that is gonna change your dreams, like, drastically. It's like, what were your feelings? Like, how were you feeling at that time?
That was a lot. All right, so this happened like the third day of school, football practice, regular scrimmage. I was playing running back. It was a route I ran over and over again, and that moment, I think my cleat got stuck in the ground. It was a good tackle, and just felt the pop, rolled over, lifted up my knee pad, and like my kneecap was missing. Like, my kneecap was floating around in my thigh, and it never really, you know, hit me like what exactly was going on until everyone else's reaction. You know, my adrenaline was still running, so I was like, damn, my knee hurt. But, you know, everyone like, oh God, everybody screaming. So I was like, damn, is it that bad? Like, I'm about to go. So then having to, you know, go through that, and, you know, go through the surgery, you know, be in the hospital, people come visit me. At that age, I'm like, man, I don't really get the fullness of it, right? So I feel like everyone took it a lot more serious than I did. It didn't get serious to me until I had to go back to school. Right. And having to go back to school in a wheelchair, I'm like, yo, this is different. Like, you know, having to go through class, you know, get your lunch, you know, go to the restroom, you know, having to ride on a handicapped bus, it put a lot of things in perspective. One, it humanizes the kids that have to use that bus, right? 'Cause I think at that age, you know, you look at them not knowing much, being very immature, you bully, you know, you joke, these kids, but I really had to sit there and like ride with them. And I was really making friends with them, you know what I mean? And we're like, yo, you're a kid just like I'm a kid, you know what I mean? You like stuff the same thing I like this sport, you know, he has a different way of going about it. This is a different ability. It ain't really a disability, just a different ability. And at a very young age, I saw that, I'm like, yo, that made me resonate that, yo, it's humanity in everybody. Well, another thing that I always remember is like, we had a cookout at my house, and you came over, and you were talking to my grandmother, and he was like, yeah, I cook chicken. And after that moment, my grandmother only knew you as the boy that cooked chicken. That's it. I'd be like, yo, grandma, I'm about to go to Givon's house. Who? The boy that cooked chicken. Oh, okay, the boy around the corner, all right. And then I think after you moved from the neighborhood, you moved to Hawaii. And you always call, but the time zone was different. So it would be like late at night here, and my grandmother picked up the phone. She's like, oh, okay. All right, Marcellis, the boy that cooked the chicken calling for you. I'm like, no, he got a name. Like, but even till today, like, if I go back home, and then she was like, you know, how's Texas and out there? I'm like, yo, like, I got a chance to link up with Givon. It's been a while. She's like, who? I said, Grandma, Givon. Grandma, the boy that cooked chicken. And then she's like, oh, okay.
To this day,
but I think that says a lot about like our friendship and like making impressions on each other, but also our families too. Because my family remembers you. You know what I mean? My sisters remember you. You know, my parents remember you. My grandmother remembers you. So for us to connect, you know, back as adult years, it says a lot. Because like we never really didn't communicate. It would be like a couple pauses in between there, but we would always find a way to connect. You know what I mean? Like either phone call, text message. Oh, I'm in DC now, or you know, or I'm in Japan now. You know, I was always keeping up to see like, all right, where you at now? So the day, I think it was like 2 days before I graduated college, you just randomly called me. Like FaceTime me. And I didn't have your number saved. Like, I think you got a new number or something. You FaceTime, I pick it up, and I was like, yo, what's good, bro? And he was like, what you about to do? I'm like, I got a job at TCU. He was like, yo, I live out here. I was like, for real? He was like, yeah, we about to link up. I was like, that's crazy. That's how life works, you know. When there's people in your life that's either for a season or a reason, or sometimes it can be the combination of two, but that season is just so long that it can last, you know, your entire life.
That's it. So one of my biggest things is I think back to when we were kids again. You know, our thing at the time was like MySpace. Everybody and their mama was on MySpace. Like, you know, everybody wanted to have the best page skin, profile, you know, the best profile, the best intro song, like everything. And that was our first glance at where we are today. That was the way we connected. Everybody that we knew in school, we were all on MySpace. So to look at where we were then and to be like, you know, whether it was MySpace or remembering each other's phone numbers or just, you know, eventually getting on Facebook and connecting, like we always had a way to find each other. And you know, I remembered your house number as a kid from heart. Like anywhere I moved, I'm gonna remember this dude's number. I'm gonna make sure I call. I have one friend out there. And you know, I always call. And like you said, you know, you talked about your grandmother and that memory. But it's one of those things when you really look back, you start to think like, okay, why did I meet this person? Like, what was it about me being this person's friend that 10 plus years later, we're blinking up in where do you see our friendship as far as how it has developed and how we're continuing to support each other? Because like right now we're dealing with a lot of social injustices that when I talk to you, you know, you haven't broken down. You've at least started out or you've maybe read on it and just have a perspective. So how do you think, or how do you see us supporting each other as friends moving forward, given where we are today, you know, 10 plus years later?
Man, I look at those kids that used to exchange like basketball, football, throw the football back and forth, and now we have grown men conversations where we exchange information back and forth. Right. So like on a financial tip, like, yo, like what's this investment look like? Or, you know, you teaching me about investment. You know what I mean? You should invest here, put your money here, this, that, and third. And then you hit me back with like social stuff. I'm like, all right, man, if you look at it this way, X, Y, and Z, right? So I think you know, we both individually grew, but also the friendship relationship grew because we were able to still have something that was a core common denominator that allowed us to still be friends. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of times you grow up with people, you know, friendships, people drift apart because people change. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You grow, people don't grow with you. But I think for us, time and space subtracted, we were still able to find a common denominator over the years that allowed us to grow together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At the same amount of time and space.
You go D1 and you're hooping, and next thing you know, you're in March Madness. I'm like, yo, like, you went to a small school, but by any means, like, you're there.
Yeah.
What was that? What did that feel like?
It was tough. I think being a student athlete, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to be something, right?
Right.
And when you go away to college, expectation is like, yo, Division I, like, that's a big bag to carry around.
Right.
It comes with a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation, which is fine. You know what you signed up for. So to go to March Madness my first year, you know, get in and score. When I got off, we lost. I ain't gonna lie, we got blown out.
Y'all played Oregon? Yeah, Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah.
It was like a home game for them because we was in Washington State. Got blown out, man. And I got my little 4 buckets, man. But when I came home, you would have thought I scored 40 points, bro. You would have thought I scored 40, the game winner. I'm at 7-Eleven, like, yo, Perkins, yo, you from the creek, Perkins. I'm like, I mean, it was only 4. Nah, brother, nah. I'm like, yo, it's only. When I went back to my barbershop, man, they was celebrating me like I came back from war or something. Like, my poster was up. I'm like, bro, it wasn't that. So for me, it was like I didn't do enough, but for everyone else, it's like, you've done so much. You've done so much and more. Yeah. Because like you took this little time and you've shown us something. You represented us well. Right. Like my family like lifted it up and it was on every Facebook post and text message and calling me and like, I saw you on TV. I think for them it was like, yo, that's someone we know. Like we saw that kid grow up. You know, what happens the next 3 years is a total opposite trajectory of that March Madness trip. But I think such is life. And you just have to it.
Right.
It felt good. It felt pressure, but I wasn't satisfied because I was like, I'm not used to riding the bench. I'm not used to getting in at the end of the game. Like I'm used to starting and playing the entire game. Right. So the student athlete, you like, man, I gotta level up. But for me, that never came due to injury.
So I know, you know, life beyond college, or rather life beyond your undergrad experience and playing D1, you know, you taking things off to a whole nother level. Like I know some of the best conversations we've had have been around how you're trying to inspire like other athletes to think about what is beyond that. And you know, every time we would talk about sports, the closer and closer you got to finishing your undergrad, you know, I saw your passion for basketball itself, or maybe rather the process of whatever was going on behind the scenes was dwindling. Yeah. You know, I could see it was taking a toll on you, and then you started your own podcast. I mean, was it a radio? It was a radio. Yeah. You started your own radio show, and I'm like, you know, this dude, for you to be a D1 athlete and for you to have a radio show on the side, I'm like, yo, it seems like his passions are moving and transferring to something that you see more impactful in, and you started to kind of walk in your sense of purpose. And you know, when I saw that at the time, you know, I didn't really have much direction. I didn't have any idea, like, you know, I would even be sitting here doing this right now. I saw that and I'm like, I got a brother who really thinks about issues that are going on. I got a brother who's actually sitting here and wanting to give people exposure. And so I just want to hear from you too, like, where was your head at as you were bringing those things up, like coming up with an idea to start a whole radio show, The Backroom?
So from the outside looking in, it appeared that I had all this planned out and all that, but from the inside out, I was struggling to find community. I was struggling to find who I was. Because when you're a student athlete and you play a sport, that's your identity. Right. That's your main, that takes up so much time, energy. People know you, they associate you to your sport. But when that's taken away abruptly, without planning for the next step, it's like, damn, who am I? I've been this person for years. Not to say I was one-dimensional, like, no, I did other things, but I never dedicated so much time and energy to one thing as I did basketball growing up. So when I didn't have it, I was in the spotlight. So who am I? Who am I to this campus?
Right.
Who am I to me? Most
Right.
importantly, like, I don't know me without basketball. I never had to go to school and then go home and that's the end of my day.
Right.
I don't know what that's like. So when I get to college and that happens, especially at a PWI, you know,
Oh, yeah.
there's not a lot of black kids anyway.
For sure.
Majority of us are on some type of sports team. They already know that I came here as an athlete, so I'm like, they already think I'm not smart enough. They already think all of these things. So you get that imposter syndrome. You start believing it, like, shit, maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not it enough.
Right.
So you just kind of go around. For me, I just went around. I took all that confusion, anger, shame. I felt a lot of shame once I couldn't play basketball no more. And I was like, where do I? Because it's still all energy. The shame is energy. The embarrassment is energy. This feeling of like I let people down is all energy. So you go from March Madness to now you feeling like you let everybody down. It's all energy. So I'm like, energy is nothing but another form of currency. What do I invest in it now?
Right.
Where do I take this now? Where do I spend it now? And luckily for me, I've always loved music and I've always loved talking to people. So I'm walking by this radio room like, man, I'm like trying to get in there. Like that look kind of cool. I got free time now, so let me you know talk to somebody and you know you talk to a couple people and like this is the idea, this is the concept, that's what I'm gonna do. You do it, and then I realized like, and I studied Rihanna.
Yeah.
I studied Rihanna and I studied Charlamagne the God, and it was like if you do something with so much confidence, so much, it can be a trash project, but if you give 100% confidence, people gonna buy into it. Just off the strength of that he believe in it that much.
Right.
It must be something in it that I don't know. So I was like, yo, I got this radio show coming on campus. Yo.
Yeah.
Just be ready. Like all summer, like just putting little teasers out like, yo, I'm coming on campus with this radio show. Because no other black student was on the radio. Nobody was doing what I was doing. So I'm like,
Right.
oh, it's coming. So I gave it all this energy and confidence. But really, I was like kind of scared. I'm like, what if people don't like it? What if people think it's corny? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if I'm back on the bench, like metaphorically, like I'm back on the bench not playing, like people don't care. But I gave it confidence and people believed in it, and that kind of allowed me to do different things on campus from there.
No, I came from a different perspective because I had to develop the mindset of what else is next before I even got into college. I didn't have to worry as an athlete, you know, my dreams go to the Olympics or my dreams go to the NBA or to the NFL. I wasn't even thinking that far. Luckily for myself, again, I had to start thinking about some things earlier, but no different than an athlete, I was still lost. I was still going to college not knowing what I wanted to do. So regardless of me being myself or if I was an athlete, you know, I feel like a lot of us get into a situation where we end up getting into school for whatever reason and we don't really know what, you know, what our sense of purpose is even then. We just go that route because that's what we're told. We go that route because everyone says, you know, go to school, that's what's gonna pay the bills one day. Or go to school because you as an athlete, that's your ticket into the league. So when you put those things into perspective, it's like at some point for 99% of us, we have to make that choice.
I mean, I was lucky enough to understand that sports is a means.
Right.
It's a vehicle. It's gonna get you somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Everyone doesn't have pro aspiration. In the back of your mind, like maybe I could get overseas. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe if a couple of things shake and I develop this way, but at the end of the day, this not gonna be it all for me. And some people get that mindset, they get fed that, and a lot of guys, a lot of athletes in general, just kind of get stuck into the system of like high school, college, pro.
Right.
That's my life. But the reality is that, you know, everybody not going.
Right.
It's like 2%, 1.3, 1.8% of people are going pro out of every college athlete. That's a very, very small population. So it's like, how are you going to use what you have to your advantage? And lucky for me, like I had people in my ear that was like, yo, like, you know, make sure you know your grades is right. Make sure you do a little you know, volunteer here, meet these people, because just in case. And for me, when I went to visit my school at Holy Cross, I went to meet a professor. The coaches took me on campus and they're like, we want you to meet this professor.
Right.
He was a sports psychology professor, Dr. Axelson. We in there talking, he asked me about my major and stuff. I'm 17 at the time, right? Feel like I'm invincible. And he says, and I'll never forget this, he said, if you were to come to this school right here and you blow out your knee and can't play no more, would you still be happy? And at 17, I'm like, man, I'm fine. Like, nothing's gonna happen to me. Like, I'm gonna be good, I'll be healthy this and the third. But fast forward 2 years later, I'm asking myself that question, like, yo, am I happy? Am I in a position now to make sure that this college experience is still gonna be, fulfilled? I'm still have fun, enjoy myself. And that was the idea of like, to me, I realized like, yo, this ain't forever. Your body is not gonna be, the ball is not gonna bounce forever. So what are you doing for that transition next step? For me, it happened very abruptly, but for other student athletes, I want us to be like, yo, prepare yourself, because you're not gonna be able to play forever. So educate yourself, inform yourself, get involved a little bit more. Don't just be a student athlete, and don't let no one tell you that all you are is a student athlete. So we're able to, form black male student athlete support groups with each other. You know what I mean? Just so we know, like, we got each other, we can, exchange resources, help each other get into grad school. Like, that's a lot bigger than what they expect us to do. So, taking that job at TCU, my job was to, help with career professional development. I got a new job now, but at that time, it's like, yo, I'm helping with resumes, I'm helping with LinkedIn, I'm helping with connecting you with internships and job opportunities. Because I understand that, you can think you want to go pro, but there's that possibility you can tweak a knee and everything is changed.
Everything is changed.
30 seconds can change everything.
It don't even take just a knee. It could literally mean your ability.
Yeah.
Somebody out there doesn't believe in it.
Right. I changed the language into parallel plans. Not plan B, but parallel plans. So we can say we're going pro, but let's also develop these skills, simultaneously. So as we're growing here, we in the weight room, this and that, we also educate ourselves on stock market, finance, entrepreneurship. So when I do have to no longer play sports, I'm not taking a step back, I'm just taking a step to the side with something that's been equally invested in.
Right.
So I'm still growing. And lucky for me, like, my parents are really big on understanding, like, yo, you're not just a student athlete. Like, you're not just gonna be a basketball player. You're gonna do different things. You're gonna be involved here, stuff like that. So it's a lot with, resources around you. Like, if all you see is sports, then that's what you're gonna feed into. If you're lucky enough to have a mentor, if you're lucky enough to have summer programs, and if you're lucky enough to be able to be involved in things outside of sports, or see other black professionals that are not just athletes, that expands your mind a little bit more. So like, exposure is invaluable. Some people don't get the opportunity to do it, but if you do get the opportunity to do it, it's not enough if it just benefits you. And that was kind of the mindset I had. Like, you're lucky enough, you're privileged enough to get these opportunities, but if it only benefits you, then you wasted it. It shouldn't just benefit you.
Probably one of the topics I've been dying to talk to you about, Kobe. I come back home the next day, and I'm sitting there talking to my roommate about the situation, and I'm just like, Kobe's gone. There's nobody else other than maybe like a few athletes, Mike Vick being one of my hometown heroes, but there's no other athlete that I look towards and just thought to myself, like, he's unstoppable. And I don't just mean that in the sense of what he was able to accomplish on the court, but everything off of it.
Life,
I know, as much as anybody else knows, Kobe was the athlete of our generation, and to see his life, in the way it did, I can't imagine how, for somebody who was an athlete, what that might have took from you. When Kobe died, what was it that you felt was taken from you or rather given to you?
I mean, when you think about something that you've done for years, like you grew up loving, you got to think about the people that made you love it. People that you wanted to emulate. And obviously, like, Kobe Bryant was early 2000s when you're really learning basketball and you watch it on TV and you're buying jerseys. You're not talking about Kobe Bryant, you know what I mean? Like, that's a name that's a staple to it. So to get that news, I was sitting at my kitchen table, and I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, TMZ, man, that ain't true. So I texted my group chat. I was like, y'all see this? And they was like, nah, that's not true. I was like, I mean, maybe I'm bugging. So I refreshed my Twitter, and there's a couple, like 3 more posts. I'm like, nah, this can't be. Refresh it again, 10 more posts. Like, every time I refresh it, it's like more people talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this can't be real. Like, this is not it. But you try. That's someone that you want to emulate. Like that Mamba mentality. You want to emulate it, embody it, and live by it. Just to me, I redefine it as like, yo, there's a energy and a way you approach everything in life that is nothing less than exceptional, nothing less than your all. And that's how I kind of looked at Mamba mentality and looking at his career, who he was as a person. You give nothing less than your all. So it's all or nothing. And that's kind of something that I always kept in my mind, is like it was all or nothing. Either you do it or you don't. There's no try.
I think about Kobe Bryant, and I think about his mentality of just all walks of life, which I'm sure that was his objective. You know, when he brought Mamba mentality, it wasn't just about be this on the court. It was about be this in life. Like, come to everything, no matter what pressure you're under, and literally, if it's a goal that you have, or it's something that you're passionate about, you gotta have that mentality that you're gonna win. When Kobe died, outside of raising his daughters, I bet you he left this earth with no type of like resentment, because I felt like he truly did carry that mentality forward, that he didn't leave anything on the court, so to speak, rather in the world. He didn't leave anything out there that he didn't get to accomplish, again, other than raising his daughters. You know, and I think about where I want to get with my own passion, where I want to get with my purpose. I want to do that. I want to be able to say that when it's my time to leave this earth, when it's my time, I did everything I said I was going to do, or at least tried and gave it my all. And whatever inspiration somebody can take from that, you know. And when you start putting those things into perspective, you start thinking about that mentality that you carry. If you're able to carry that regardless of what it is your passion is,
you can't lose.
You can't lose.
You can't lose anything.
It's so many people that you're gonna impact one day, or rather, even if it's just one person. If you put your all into that, that's what you're gonna leave. That's the footprint you leave behind for the rest of the world. And again, when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That there's nothing more as a fan that I could have asked of you than to leave me that blueprint, than to tell me or show me this is the way that you literally leave it all out there. And I personally will never ever, forget what type of impact he's had on my life, or he's had on everybody's life, globally. Global impact is crazy. But another athlete I like to think about sometimes is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie, and I bring him up because it's one of those touchy subjects because it's happening right now. But with Kyrie and his situation in terms of being against the bubble, the NBA does the whole restart.
Kyrie against everything, bro. He against the world being around. He against everything, bro.
He has said some off the wall stuff.
He against winning championships because he don't want to play with LeBron no more. I mean, he a character, bro.
I see Kyrie to me as an activist in the sense of like, look, the same things that Steven Jackson is saying. When I sit there and listen to what he's saying, and I hear him, and he's saying that, look, right now, this is bigger than sports. Whatever we're dealing with, it goes beyond sports. So for us to get back out there and to give our time towards this, it's going to distract us from the bigger picture. It's going to distract us from our ability to be able to fight for the social injustices that we're dealing with. When I sat there and I saw Kyrie take his stance and players start to back him up and other players have a difference of opinion, I had to sit there and think, like, what really is the right direction? Like, who can you say, or rather, what direction can you say is the right direction? Because I personally, I don't know. I think what Kyrie Irving did was very noble.
What did he do? Say he don't want to play?
Say he don't want to play. And say why he didn't want to play. And then have other players influenced by his decision.
I mean, so I think for us, we give celebrities too much credit. We give them too much leeway for us to be our moral compasses when it comes to social movements.
Right.
No one asked Kyrie to be such, right? But you choose to do it because you have a platform, and that's fine. When much is given, much is now expected, which is cool. Use your platform to speak on things. But I don't think we're as informed as we should be on what it is that we really want.
Right.
I don't think necessarily we all have to have the same methods to get there. So I don't think unity is always uniformity. Like we all don't have that, but we have to have a collective effervescence, like a collective idea of like this is what we all want as a people.
Right.
And I don't think we all have that. So for a multi-millionaire to say like, we shouldn't play basketball because it's a distraction, I was like, but you still gonna get that multi-million-dollar check, which is still uplifting capitalism. So what is it that are we really talking about? Because we all know it's not just police brutality. Like that's a surface level, right? It's a lot deeper than that. That's just the more of the thing we see on the news, but it's a lot deeper than police brutality. It's about classism. It's about economic inequality and what that creates. So multi-millionaires trying to give me my guidance for what social movement or how I should move the social movement, I'll listen to it, but I'll take it with a grain of salt.
Does it go both ways though? Because I mean, even though we can say that, right? Mm-hmm. When it comes to LeBron James, mm-hmm. we want to hear what he has to say. I do at least. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, but like there are certain celebrities that I feel like it's not about taking it with a grain of salt. And maybe you're different. But I do know like we do at least, I don't want to say expect them to speak up, but we at least listen, or we're wanting to hear them.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, first of all, LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time. I just want to put that on record. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Cameraman got that. All right, work. So, what is it that what are we asking for? I'm asking LeBron to do what? Speak out on police brutality?
Speak out on anything.
Social issues?
Just anything.
Yeah, I mean, anything is vague. So, like, what am I asking? What am I listening to you for? I mean, I'll listen, but what am I listening to you for? I don't need your guidance. I mean, we all wear Nikes, right? We wear Nikes in here. Is that the most moral thing to do? If you really look at it, wearing Nikes, knowing where Nikes get made, how much people get paid to make Nikes, and on the flipping, how much Nikes getting paid. You know what I mean? So like, all that shit is like, yes, I hear it. And we all complicit in some way, mm-hmm. because capitalism is an evil system that we all got hands in. Right. It's like, celebrities, multi-millionaires, they got 2-3 houses and there's people homeless on this street right here. It's like, what is it that we really talking about?
Right.
And what is it that we really looking for? I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. I don't know if we can ever really make actual actionable items to get there, but we can keep talking about it.
But that's what I see as our obstacle, or rather like, who is our generation supposed to be listening to? Everybody tells us, or rather the narrative is, the only thing that you're gonna ever be is an athlete, or the only thing you're ever gonna be is a musician, or the only thing, something creative. Mm-hmm. Who else are we supposed to look up to?
I mean, you listed musicians and artists, musicians and athletes, but I think we, particularly as black people, like we look to them too much for them to be our social compasses. Like, you are an artist. I'm not asking you to be socially or morally correct. Your job is to make the music.
Right.
That's it.
But doesn't that go? Isn't that contradicting to? And you may have a different opinion, but is that not contradicting to? I don't know what her name was, but the lady who came out and spoke against
J. Cole.
No, not J. Cole. The lady who spoke out against LeBron about shut up and dribble. What's the difference?
No, I don't see that as the same. I'm saying is, I'm not looking to you to do that. If you choose to do it, I'll listen, but what am I listening to you for? She's saying, don't say nothing. Don't say shit. Just play ball.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear your political statements.
Right.
I'm not saying them taking stances and calling attention to things is a bad thing. No, do that. That's dope.
Right.
But are y'all really engaging into like the actual literature,
right,
into the actual conversation, people on the ground level, to say like, mm-hmm, it's bigger than just police brutality. Like, it's a lot more intricate details that get overlooked because that's the more things that's visible.
Right.
So I'm saying that, yo, you can say it and I'll listen, but I'm not gonna take your hand and follow you to whatever direction you want to go to,
right,
because that's not your job. Like, you think they dedicate more time to actually reading the literature, reading different books, or playing basketball? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, their job is to play basketball and provide for their family. I'm not going to ask them to do more than that.
Right.
If you choose to do it, you choose to do it, but I'm not asking you to do more than that.
But like, again, like, I think the biggest challenge is simply just, if I'm not listening to them, for
who do
what?
You listen to?
You know, you said, who do I listen to?
Yeah. No, I'm saying, like,
Yeah,
So who
am I supposed to be listening to?
I mean,
who am I supposed to be taking advice from?
I mean, I think there's enough sharp political thinkers, black political thinkers that need the platform that they don't have because they don't have the celebrity that comes with it. I think we put blackness in a box of like athlete, musician. Those are the people that get attention.
Okay.
But the political thinkers, the politicians, the authors, the writers, they don't get that same amount of attention and platform. Even though they're the ones engaging in the history and the literature, and they can give you any theory frontward to backward. Pick and choose between whether I want to listen to Cardi B or read a book on black feminist thought. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think if anything, you can make the argument that Cardi B empowers black feminist thought of women fully engaging in their sexuality and being able to own it and explore it. What I'm saying is this, using that example, I'm not looking for Cardi B to make me that. Like, music is a commodity. Hip hop is a commodity.
Right.
Really, hip hop is the only genre where we try to hold the artist to like this social compass. There's no other genre you can point to where people are telling country singers, rock and roll singers, like, I need you to talk more about social issues.
Right.
No, just make the music. That's it. That's what your job is. We give them the support. There's like a consumer responsibility has to go into that. Like, there's enough socially conscious, which I don't even like that genre term, but socially conscious music out there, but you can't be lazy and say like, well, it's not out there. Well, did you look for it? Because there's enough playlists and radios on any music streaming service that you can find, but black people don't control these music services. So it's like the output of music is different from the actual what you're receiving. If that makes sense. Like, black people don't own Spotify. So if you want a playlist of Cardi B and all that like the ratchet music, that's what you're gonna get. Yeah. That's gonna be on the front page of that. But if you want to dig deep into some like socially conscious music, you have to search for that.
Like, if you're inspiring somebody else to get ahead in this world, I totally respect it. But I will say, like, a lot of the content that I do see other people in our generation put out is what people want rather than what they need.
It's a commodity.
It's a commodity. How do I monetize something? Yeah. You know, and when I think about that, and I think about these people are eating off of what do people want, what's gonna make anybody want to give the people what they need?
So that kind of goes back to my point with like the Kyrie Irving in basketball. NBA, that's a commodity. Like, people are watching basketball. That's what they want to see. Right. That's your job. You're gonna do your job. That's why those players are like, I'm gonna go play ball. What are you really willing to give up? You know, to no longer be seen as a commodity. Because you gotta eat, you gotta make money. So that product stuff, what you make, creatives, you're gonna make, at the end of the day, you're gonna make what's gonna make you money. Right. Those that make stuff that, artistic integrity from the heart, they're gonna be a little bit harder to find because that stuff doesn't sell.
Yeah. And I think that's where our generation struggles the most. I don't know. Where we put our time and our money in, people now today, we chase so much of the entertainment. We chase so much after what's going to give me instantaneous pleasure rather than what's going to give me long-term knowledge or give me something that's going to get me ahead or something that's going to help me get through what we're going through right now. I
don't know. I think we're better than any generation that we've seen so far in a long time. I think the generation before us dropped the ball. Yeah. If you want to paint that narrative, I say put that on that generation before us.
I agree.
But us, I don't see that. I mean, we sitting here, recording this. We one of many, one of hundreds, one of thousands. Going across the country right now. So I wouldn't say that. I think social media has a gift and a curse. One, the gift is like the exchange of information. Like, somebody gonna see this video, and someone else is gonna copy the same type of format. Someone will get something. So I wouldn't say this is like a lost generation. I just think we're able to expose.
You can't just kill my whole show like that.
Oh shit, my fault. I mean, I ain't kill it. I'm just saying. I think it's a different perspective. That's what you brought me here for. I think it's just like, we are able to expose a lot more. That it's been a lot uglier than what past generations really thought it was. What I'm saying is like, yes, that's very true. There's consumer responsibility. Like, if that's what you want to find, listen to them. But music is a commodity. I'm not asking Cardi B to be a socially conscious rapper. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to make the music that's gonna make you money. And if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And that goes for all rappers, not just women rappers, but men rappers. I'm not asking Future to talk about police brutality, but if he does it, cool. But I know what I'm listening to Future for. I'm listening to Turn Up. That's it. I'm not going to condemn people to reacting to their situation. At the end of, like, back to the beginning point, like, capitalism. Like, it's a lot deeper than police brutality. It's capitalism, where the top get a lot, the bottom get the less.
Right.
So you're asking people from outside of this 1% who are able to use this talent that is also a commodity to make money and survive. I'm not going to expect or ask of you to give this up, give this ability to make money up. The song Lil Baby made was dope, but they gonna play it in the club. They go, you know what I'm saying? Is that gonna get high level replay? No, not at all. The stuff that he's turning up to, that's what's gonna make him money.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because like it's a give or take. I give you this, but also I'm taking away, possible streams. This song was about something else. So, in regards to rap is what rap is, and it's so dynamic. It's so many different subgenres that I don't mind Future rapping about whatever you want to rap. I don't mind Lil Baby, 42 Dugg. And I don't mind none of them rapping about what they want to rap about.
Right.
Because on the other end, there's other rappers that's talking about socially conscious stuff. They're talking about depression, mental health. They're talking about these different things. There's enough balance. But as a consumer, you have to be willing to go search for it.
Right.
But again, that goes back to black people don't own the distribution of hip hop music. We don't own that.
Right.
So what you see on Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, when you open it up, it's gonna be what's popular, what sells. Not necessarily like what you need.
What matters right now.
Or quote unquote what matters.
Quote unquote matters.
That's subjective.
And I think that's the only part I really just do struggle with is, those artists that are talking about what we need to hear right now. In times like this, those messages could be stupid impactful.
But music is a reflection of society.
So
until society changes, we got capitalism. Everybody gonna talk about materialism because materialism is a byproduct of capitalism. You make money, I can buy me a Givenchy belt. I make money, I can get some Nikes. I make money, so I'm not gonna expect them to deviate from that when society is telling them that this is what it is. If anything, the only critique I have of hip hop is the amount of misogyny that's in it. You know what I'm saying? So if we're talking about violence towards black women, misogynoir, at what point do we say, like, all right, that's enough? Like, how can I celebrate when I listen to the lyrics of, calling women bees, calling them out their names, completely violating black women?
Right.
That's the part where we're like, we can call the artist out on that.
Yeah.
Like that's not okay. But again.
But those are the things that we accept.
Exactly. I mean, let me ask you something. If you complicit in something, does that mean you always support it? So if I go to a party, say I'm against calling women bees, but I go to a party and all the music, that's what they play. I'm listening to it, I'm bobbing my head. What does that say about me as the consumer? What consumer responsibility do I have in that moment?
I mean, that puts stuff into a lot of perspective. You can say the same thing about, being a white person, being in a position of leadership, and you allowing systematic racism to continue. It's no different. You allow it to happen. It's like, I feel like you are responsible. I feel like as a black man, when I do sit down and listen to music where there is misogyny and there are artists that talk down on women, I'm responsible as a person to either accept or reject that music. I'm either going to continue to let it happen around me, or I'm going to stand up and use my voice to speak out against it, just like you're doing right now. Not many people would come on this and say something like that. But it is our responsibility.
And I'm not saying I mean, my favorite artist is Jay-Z, so like
for sure
that says a lot about the musical catalog that I listen to on a daily basis. But at the same time, it's like I wrestle with this idea of like, if you participate in something, does that mean you're complicit in it always?
If you choose to participate and you don't choose to change it, or don't choose to be a part of the change, I feel like you are. And I'm a part of that complicity when it comes to music, especially. So
to tie it back into like the basketball, when we're asking these basketball players to not play at this current moment because of a social issue that we all deem as important, them participating does that mean that they're complicit in the counter movement? Like I don't get, it's too complex to just say. It's not just always black and white. Like there's gray area.
Right.
That's kind of reason why gray is my favorite color.
Yep.
They tied that back in, right?
Yeah, man. Well, shit.
bro.
Yeah.